Alzheimer's disease, as I already said, is part of the dementias. And basically, when we talk about dementia, um, actually the word means like losing your mind. But when we say losing your mind, we think of our perception of crazy people. But for at least for medical doctors, the mind, it's more defined in those three things that I talked before: time, space, and people. That is what makes up the mind, at least for us. So the dementias affect those three things, but Alzheimer's specifically has affect one of those more than the others. So the first things you will notice of a patient with Alzheimer's is that they have difficulty learning new things. That is something very important, because a lot of people uh, start forgetting things as they get older, and they say, oh my God, I'm developing Alzheimer's. A lot of people have that question, and actually they go and talk to the doctors about it, or they start asking their family members if they think they have a problem. But it's more about learning uh, new things. That is like the beginning of everything. So they do not have any problems going to the same places they always go, to the same supermarket. But then if you teach them something new, they will learn it, but they will forget it very easily. So you will ask the next day, and they will simply not know nothing about that new thing they learned. Telephone numbers, places, even names. Of course, that is together with difficulty remember recent events. So the memory loss, that is the main symptom in Alzheimer's disease, relates with short-term memory. Another symptom that starts is that people start repeating things over and over. The patients tell you one story, they simply go do other thing, and then they'll return and they will repeat that same story to you. Of course, they don't remember. They said it to you, so they will repeat it, or they will ask you the same question even when you have answered that probably twice or three times. And one of the, this is not very, this is not a symptom that is in the early phase of Alzheimer's, but it develops some time, and that's changes in the mood. Actually, patients get very irritable. They irritate very easily. They become aggressive, especially when they get confronted with their symptoms. And this is something very common, because this condition is very difficult to understand and to deal with. So a lot of people think the symptoms are just part of normal aging, and they confront their family members about it. Like, Mom, you're asking me this same question too many times, and I'm getting annoyed. And they will say, I'm not doing that, and they will get very, very mad. And also late, as the condition progresses, they start getting disoriented. And it's not that they can't remember a new place, because that would be difficult to remember, remembering recent events. This is that in familiar places, they suddenly forget where they are. And that can even happen in their own homes. Of course, as the disease starts, these familiar places are probably not so familiar. Let's say maybe a mall, they always go once a year. Now they get lost there, or they don't recognize it. And as the disease starts progressing, they will get disoriented in more familiar places until this happens in their own houses, homes. And then at last, they start developing difficulty recognizing people. Of course, in the beginning, new people, and then people that they see every day. And the reason for that, or at least the theory, is that they simply remember people as like as they have it in their minds. That could be certain event or a special moment. For example, for your mom, they will always remember the day of your graduation. So they get stuck in those moments, like frozen in time. So for that, for their minds, it is not possible that you grew up and now you're 30 or 40. For them, you will always be 20, 22, something like that. That's something very common. But of course, this is something you will notice as the condition gets very, very late stage. And of course, they confuse dates and hours all the time. This is also a very common symptom. And it's very confusing because even I confuse sometimes dates and hours. So you have to be careful, uh, or at least talk to somebody that knows, because not everybody that has any of this symptom has necessary Alzheimer's.